Falsely thoughts, race, life's a twisted place. No time to erase.
Hello?
Y'all let me know if y'all can hear me.
I can hear you, brother. So I just
All
want to
right,
ask,
cool.
I just want to ask you a quick question. So,
For sure.
I'm a theist, so I do believe in God. I want to ask you as to why you are atheist.
I have no reason to believe that is true and is not necessary.
So, my argument here is basically that I think that atheism is unintelligible. I don't think that I don't atheism to me makes no sense. We can put this. I can place arguments for this. My argument for this would be that a
Well,
position.
let me ask you one question first before you do that. What do you
Yes.
think atheism actually is?
So atheism is the lack of belief in a God. So we can say this is you just suspending judgment from the existence of God. That's kind of how I would argue for this.
That's actually correct. But if you know that atheism is simply a lack of belief in a God, what is unintelligible to you? I just don't believe what you're saying.
So yeah, that's what I'm saying. So we can place this in arguments, right? I think that the position for atheism is just it just makes no sense.
How does it make no sense to not believe something that I have no proof for?
Yeah, because again, atheism itself is just it's flawed in many ways. For example, I can put this as an argument. We can say a position that leaves you with two incorrect options cannot be correct. Do you agree with that?
A position that leaves you with two incorrect options cannot be correct. Well, that's a tautology, but yeah,
Yes.
that's I would agree with that.
So yeah, what we'll place here is that atheism is a position that leaves you with two incorrect options. Therefore, atheism cannot be correct.
What two incorrect options does it give? And actually, that's a false dichotomy.
So yeah, the two options that you're placed with is just space and time being eternal, or something coming from pure nothingness. I believe that these are the only two options that atheists can ever have, and I find these positions to be unintelligible. It doesn't make any sense.
But atheism is simply a lack of belief in a God. It says nothing about space and time. It says nothing about not having a beginning. It says nothing about anything else. It's just not believing in a God. After that, atheists can believe in anything that they want.
So yeah. Again, we only have two options for God, right? It's either that God exists or God does not exist.
Yeah, either God exists or God does not exist. That's a true dichotomy.
Yeah. So if you believe that God does not exist, then these are what's left with you. These are the only options that you can ever have.
No, if an atheist, like, because again, atheism is a lack of a belief, right? So if I don't believe in a God, that says nothing about anything else.
Yeah, you saying that you don't believe in a God will leave you with flawed options.
No, what I'm saying is that it still leaves you with multiple options. It's just that the God option of believing in that is something that you don't take a position on because you don't believe in that. But you can believe in literally anything else.
Yeah, but we only have three options for the origin of the universe. Either God created it. Either there's a universal creator, space and time is eternal, or the universe came from nothing.
No, that's not the only positions.
So are you able to present a third option for the atheists? I've never heard of one.
Yeah, sure. This universe could be a simulation. This universe could have arise naturally from another universe. This universe could be inside of a black hole.
Yeah. So
this universe could have been created by farting pink clouds.
Yep, and these are all things. Hold on, and these are all things that fall up under space and time being eternal. A universe coming from another universe.
Yeah, exactly.
For a universe, space and time is necessary for a universe. Those are fundamental laws for a universe. Okay, so
right, I understand.
So if there's multiple universes, then all we're doing is basically just having space and time being eternal again. And then for the simulation theory, my entire argument for the simulation theory would just be what created the simulation?
Probably
if not God, then the simulation is again eternal.
No, the simulation
just leaves space
and time. That's wrong. That's wrong. A simulation does not have to be eternal. It could have been created by an alien species that we have no idea how to interact with yet.
And who created the alien species?
We don't know. That's the thing. Of course, it pushes it back. Of course, it pushes it back a step. But what I'm saying is that you have the same problem with an eternal thing as well. Because what created your creator?
So yeah, the way that we use eternal with God's nature, right? Eternal just means timeless.
Right. No, it can't. No, it can't mean timeless. Timeless has to always exist.
Yeah. Wait. What? Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that.
Time,
Yes.
yeah, time can't be
Yes.
created.
Something
Time has
that.
to always exist.
So yeah, I disagree with that. That is what we call space and time being eternal. I find it unintelligible.
No, space and time has to be eternal, even for your God.
No, it does not.
You want me to prove it?
Something that is eternal. Something that is eternal is timeless. On my friend.
The time cannot be created. Time has to always exist.
Yeah. So yeah, my argument for this, right, is if time has always existed, then what we're stuck in is that no point of time could ever be actualized.
No, time can actually the points of time can actually be actualized. Is that time? It's space and time itself can't be created. It has to always exist.
Yeah, yeah. And again, my objection towards is that if that is true, then no point of time could ever be actualized, right? Because then we fall up under this infinite dependency chain, right?
Then your God can't be actualized because your God requires time.
No, my God does not require time.
Yes, it does. Does your God create?
Yes.
Creation is a change of states, right?
I can actually agree with this. Yes.
Okay, a change of state needs a before, a during, and an after, doesn't it?
Not when it comes to the existence of God. No.
When it comes to the existence of God, he doesn't need a before or an after.
Yeah, that's just nonsense.
So he can't actualize anything either.
No. So when God created the universe, right, you can think of this as simply like, let's say a man was standing in a chair for eternity, right? Just because this man is standing in the chair for eternity, does not mean that he does not have the free will to stand up.
All right. So he was sitting in a chair for eternity, right? So that means when he stood up, there was a before. He was sitting in a chair.
No.
Yes.
No, there's no before.
Listen, if he's sitting in a chair, hold on. Let me explain this way. He's sitting in a chair and he stands up. What happened before he stood up? He was sitting. So there is a before. There has to be.
No.
So he can't actualize anything either.
No, Volsi. I see. This is.
If he's sitting in a chair, and then stands up, before he stood up, he was sitting in a chair. There's a before there. There has to be.
So yeah, Volsi. The way that you're trying to demonstrate God, you're acting like God has these what the God did before time was a temporal sequence, right? We can just say that this was
it has to be.
Hold on, Volsi. No, it does not, right? Because if God is something that is timeless, right, then his free will and actions would also be timeless.
You're literally special pleading.
How is that special pleading?
Because you're saying that that everything else can needs this except for this one thing that I give.
Because everything else is bounded by space and time.
So is your God.
Oh my gosh. How can my God be bounded by space and time if he's timeless?
Can you prove he's timeless?
Well, yes.
How?
Yeah, based on the simple fact that the universe has a beginning.
No, it doesn't.
So then you're left again with this unintelligible position.
No, it is intelligible. Things can be eternal.
So if every moment,
remember, energy can't be created or destroyed, which means energy is eternal.
So I disagree with that, because if every moment of time, right, if every moment of time was dependent on each other, right, how could we ever come to a now in time if every moment is dependent on each other and we have an infinite series that goes back?
Talk to a physicist. I have no idea.
Yeah, we know the physicists will tell you. They will tell you. Oh well, I don't know. Do you know why they will tell you I don't know?
Because no one knows.
No. Do you know why they will tell you that? Because
no one knows.
Because of the simple fact that the universe being eternal, it just makes no sense.
No, it makes total sense, because energy can't be created or destroyed.
Oh my gosh, I disagree with this.
Create energy right now.
So just because I can't create energy does not mean that is
energy can't be created or destroyed. So you just relativity.
So I got a question.
Hold on, Dre,
because we can't do it, that just means it's not. That just means it just can't be destroyed.
Did you disprove relativity?
The theory of relativity?
Yeah. Have you disproven it?
What do you mean? Have I disproven the theory?
You said that you disagree that energy can't be created or destroyed. Have you disproven the theory of relativity?
Oh well, yes. If that's the case, then yes. If that's
okay, go get your Nobel Prize. Go get your Nobel Prize then. Don't talk to me. Because if you disproven the theory of relativity, that means you've disproven Einstein. Go get your Nobel Prize right now. Don't talk to me.
Yeah, do you know that Einstein was a believer in God because he believed that the universe...
he wasn't.
Hold on.
No, he wasn't.
Okay, that's fine.
He wasn't. I can find that quote if you want me to.
That's totally fine.
I can get the quote if you want me to. He did not believe in a God.
Bossy, I got a question. Do you believe that? Do you believe that Albert Einstein? Do you just believe that everything that Albert Einstein says is true?
No,
because what you'll be doing here is what we call an appeal to authority.
I didn't say everything that Albert Einstein said was true. I didn't say that. I asked you if you disprove. Actually, if you disprove relativity, because relativity is the most grounded science of physics that we have right now. If you disproved it, go get your Nobel Prize. Don't talk to me. You're the one who brought up that Einstein believed in God. Wait. I didn't say that because Einstein didn't believe in God, that makes God not real. You said that he did. I'm just saying that he didn't.
Yeah, that's totally fine. So, do you know how many people have disagreed with Albert Einstein's theory of relativity?
And none of them have debunked it yet. None of them.
Yes, they have.
Who debunked? Who debunked relativity?
Yeah, I'll just name basic philosophers. You can say Thomas.
No. Physicists. Name a physicist who debunked. Name a physicist. Philosophy can't debunk science. What are you talking about?
Yes, it can.
Oh, so you can philosophically debunk gravity?
Yes, you
philosophically debunk gravity. Go ahead.
I believe in gravity, so why would I do that?
You just said philosophy can debunk science.
Yes, it can.
How?
Because philosophy uses what we call logic and reasoning, right? Some things in science are just illogical.
Like what?
Yeah, for example, the universe being eternal. That's illogical.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is, because
it's completely illogical.
No. There's
a difference between something being illogical and not intuitive. The reason why it's not intuitive to us is because we're linear. We start somewhere and we end somewhere. We're linear. We understand. That's how we understand time working, starting and stopping. Like I have a stopwatch right now. It started and it's going to stop pretty soon, in about 10 minutes. You see what I'm saying? So that's how we understand time. Just because that's how we understand it doesn't mean that it doesn't work in another actual way. And the mathematics shows that it does work in that actual way. The second thing I want to say is, how does philosophy debunk science? That makes no sense at all.
Yeah, because again, science is something that we call logic and reasoning. Do you believe that? Do you believe that things that are illogical is true? If science says it, no. We have no reason to believe. We have no reason to believe that things such as like a married bachelor is true.
Right, and scientifically,
or that a proposition such as like, let's say a proposition like for example, contradictions. For example, like let's say something is omnipotent and not omnipotent. If science shows this, then we will just have no reason to believe science.
And do you know
unreasonable?
Right. And do you know what science shows? It shows the exact opposite of what you said. It doesn't say something. It doesn't show something's potent or omnipotent. It actually disproves that.
Yeah. So again, so science uses some type of logic and reasoning. So we can use logic and reasoning to debunk some certain things in science. Do you know that there's philosophers that debunk evolution?
No, they haven't.
Yes, there are philosophers that debunk evolution.
They haven't debunked evolution because one thing in science, you don't just come up with fancy little arguments. You actually have to show what you're saying actually has evidence behind it. You actually have to show the evidence of what you're saying. You don't just say, "Oh, this is my argument for why this is true." Okay, fine. Demonstrate why we find these things. Oh, but that's my argument. You can't do that.
Yeah,
you actually have to show. Wait. You actually have to show something is like, for example, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a philosopher that can debunk that I don't have 5 fingers. I'm pretty sure someone could come up with a philosophical argument that I don't have 5 fingers. He's going to have to actually show that I don't have 5 fingers. He can't show that. That's not how science works.
So
you need empirical evidence.
No, I disagree with that. I don't think that everything needs empirical evidence.
Okay, what doesn't need empirical evidence?
Yeah, the belief in a God, the universe being eternal. These are things that doesn't need empirical evidence.
All right. The belief in beliefs don't need empirical evidence, but the claim that a God exists does need empirical evidence.
So no, it does not.
Okay, so a belief, that's what I'm saying. A belief, like for example, I believe that Kendrick Lamar is the best rapper right now. Right? They're not like us. I believe Kendrick Lamar is the best rapper right now. That doesn't need empirical evidence. Just because a whole bunch of people listen to him doesn't mean he's the best rapper. That doesn't need empirical evidence. However, if I were to say that Kendrick Lamar does not exist, or Kendrick Lamar does exist, or Kendrick Lamar was born in Compton, those do need empirical evidence.
Yeah,
actually, if I were to say that Kendrick Lamar was born in New York and not Compton, I would be wrong about that because his birth certificate says Compton. So that's how science works.
So yeah,
I could come up with a philosophical argument of Kendrick Lamar being born in France.
No,
I would still be wrong.
No, you cannot.
Why?
You cannot.
Because there's no
those,
evidence, right?
it's because those things are governed by empirical evidence, but not everything needs empirical evidence. So just because
not everything needs to live good. You're right.
So I make the claim that God exists does not mean that I should give you empirical evidence because that's
yeah,
what
you
want.
should. You're making a claim.
No, you don't need.
You're making
evidence.
a truth claim.
You don't need empirical evidence to show that to be true.
But you're making a truth claim.
You could just put this within a logical framework, right? And do you believe that logic is true?
Do I believe that logic is true? What do you mean by that?
So do you think that logic leads to like truths?
It can't. Nah, not always.
Yeah, it doesn't always lead to truth, but it can, right?
It can, but not always.
So yeah. So if logic can lead to truths, right, then we can just use logic to show that God is something that is true.
No, you can't.
What? You just said that logic leads to truth.
Logic can lead to truth. It can also lead to something that's false.
Yeah, and things that lead, and when logic leads to things that are false, right? Is it being false? Is the statement that is false not a true statement?
That's one of those logic riddles that you can't really get out of. Like if I were to say this statement is false, is that a true statement?
Yes, that would be a true statement.
But the statement is false.
So
how is it a true statement? That's one of those logical contradiction things.
It's because right. When something is considered to be false, right? You will have to accept that it's false. That means you will have to accept that it's false. That's just how it will go. You can't say something is false and not accept that it's false. That makes no sense. You have to accept the statement that is. You have to accept the statement that that's true.
Okay.
So yeah. So if logic leads to things that are false, right, then we can say that it is true that this is false. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, I can understand that. But what I'm trying to say is that when you can make logical arguments, right? But just because you make a logical argument for something doesn't mean that thing is true. Because I've seen people make logical arguments for the tooth fairy. The tooth fairy doesn't exist.
Yeah, and yeah, you can prove these things using just you can prove these things using philosophical reason. You can, for example, I would say that the reason why the tooth fairy isn't something that is true is because it's not something that is necessary. Like this is completely different.
And neither is God.
See, this is something completely different when we're speaking of God.
Right, but God isn't necessary either.
I would disagree with that. Okay,
so prove that God is necessary.
So yeah, this is gonna be completely complex, but I can prove it, right? So we have I can still do with the argument that I have, right? Like you said already, right? We have two options for the existence of God. It's either that God exists or he does not exist, right? Mm-hmm. So if God does not exist, then if it is true that God, if it is false that God does not exist, right? Then God being true would be something that is necessary just by that very definition.
That made no sense at all. That was can you say that again?
We have something called the law of excluded middle.
Hold on, everybody.
So earlier you were trying to
wait. Hold on. Kohito. Everybody. Okay, Dread. What you said earlier was complete word salad. Please say that again.
So yeah, we have something in logic that we have the three laws of logic, right? We have law of non-contradiction, law of identity, and the law of excluded middle. So the law of excluded middle helps us understand that basically a proposition is either true or false, right? So if the negation of the proposition is something that is untrue, then the other position itself will be something that will just be true based on the simple fact that the negation is false. It must be necessarily true.
All right, two things. Okay, number one, what does that have to do with anything about the prompts listed? Okay, and number two, can you please tell me one philosopher that's debunked general relativity, please? Because when I'm watching this, you're going in circles, my guy. Respect.
Yeah, so okay. We can say an easy philosopher is just William Lane Craig, right? William Lane Craig
did not debunk
William Lane Craig completely disagrees that space and time is something that is eternal. That is like his whole entire philosophy.
Space and time are human-made conceptions. Okay, time.
Wait, that makes no sense. That makes no sense, right?
My guy, are tools, okay, that we invented to understand the concepts of the universe. They didn't come magically from skydiving. We use these semantics to understand how the universe works. Is that simple?
What you said makes no sense, right? Because if space is not real,
no space. Space is real. We've called it space. God didn't say that space is space. We've called it space. It's a
Yeah,
like I just said earlier, it's a human concept.
Just because we call it something does not make it a human concept, because human concepts do not.
Yes. What do you think lexicon? What do you think linguistics stems from? Do you think it stems from Sky Daddy, or do you think it stems from humans?
You have to let me speak.
All right, everybody. I still want to really understand this argument, because like the only thing that you said is that the law of excluded middle mean that something is either true or false. We get a proposition has to be either true or false. That's a true dichotomy. I understand that. How does that make God necessary?
Yeah, because if we show that the negation is something false, then it follows that God is just the most that God is just the most reasonable option.
And how
that doesn't follow at all. That doesn't follow at all.
Yeah, it's because yes.
Wait, stop. Let's go back a step. I'm not even gonna give that to you. That doesn't follow at all. That does not follow.
That?
So yeah,
it's not even how do we prove that? It doesn't even follow. That's a non sequitur.
It's because you just can't follow it. You can't prove it.
You're just right. You're just you can't prove it. But even from the beginning, it doesn't follow. It's a non sequitur. You're saying that if we say that God doesn't exist, he has to be necessary?
No. I'm saying that if we agree that the negation is something incorrect, then the most reasonable case for us to believe is that God
it is correct. Okay.
Exists.
So if we say that if God does not exist is an incorrect statement, then God does exist.
Yes, right. Just necessarily.
Okay, cool.
That's how that will go.
Cool. I got you there. But the thing is, though, you still have to demonstrate that God does actually exist. You haven't done that.
Well, you don't have to if the negation is something false.
But you can't. But we can't
operate though.
But the thing is, we can't say that negation is false. We can't say that negation is false because you have. No, we can't, because you have to demonstrate that God exists.
No, I can just simply show you how the negation is just false. There's nothing else to it.
Okay, so the statement God does not exist is a false statement.
Yes, it's an incorrect statement.
How do you show that?
Yeah, because I'm going to bring up the argument again. A position that leaves you with two incorrect options cannot be correct. Atheism is a position that leaves you with two incorrect options. Therefore, atheism cannot be correct.
But you can't show that. But you can't show that space and time being eternal is an incorrect option.
Yes, I can.
The math actually shows that it is.
Yeah, and I will disagree. I would find this math illogical.
Wait, so you wait.
Time.
All right, so you have math to show that space and time had a beginning?
I don't have to use math. I can just use.
Yes, you do.
Yes, you
do.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Because these are mathematical concepts. How can you not use math to disprove a mathematical concept?
Yeah, it's because we can just use deductive reasoning.
Okay, so according to my deductive reasoning, 2 + 2 = 5. Are you serious right now, bro?
That's not how that works.
Exactly. You have to use math to actually use. You have to use math in order to counter math. You just can't say according to deductive reasoning 2 + 2 = 5. That's bullshit.
Yeah, bossy. I'm going to explain to you, right? So math, right? Math is just math is another way of how we use logic. So what I'm doing here is I'm using logic, which is it's not the exact same thing as mathematical equations, but it's where mathematical equations get their validity from. So I'm using what mathematics get their validity from to show that this is something that is just incorrect.
Okay, so you have the math to show that space and time cannot be eternal.
I will use logic, yes.
What logic would you use?
Yeah, the simple fact that the law of non-contradiction.
It's not a contradiction that space and time is eternal, bro.
You have to let me finish. Yes, it is.
All right, go ahead.
Right, because again, if you believe that every moment of time is being actualized under an eternal universe, no moment of time could ever be actualized. That's a complete contradiction right there, and I can prove this. Because if every moment of time is dependent on each other, then we can never come to a present moment of time.
Sure, we can.
So how
can we get from 0 to 1?
Yes.
Exactly. You can divide. You can decrease 1 infinitely, can't you?
Decrease. What do you mean decrease 1 infinitely?
You can subtract
1. You can subtract 1 infinitely. Between 0 and 1, there's an infinite amount of numbers.
Oh well, correct? Yeah, mathematics, of course, but not
exactly.
Not in concrete reality.
Oh wait, but you have 0 and 1.
But that's not concrete reality.
What does that even mean?
Not concrete.
That's mathematical concepts. Concrete reality is our very
which is space and time, which are physical and which are physicist and mathematical concepts. Space and time are the same thing.
Yes, but math, right? Math is something that has no causal link. So of course it can be something that go infinitely in the
Causal
past.
link.
It has
So
it
if I
has
have
no causal
What
link.
do you mean by causal root? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, it has basically it doesn't cause anything to exist. Like for example, it doesn't for example, 2 + 2 doesn't cause like let's say let's say a cup of coffee to become cold or something like that. It doesn't do anything.
No one says it
Well,
does.
one's
Yeah,
in terms of
exactly.
quantity, one's in terms of
That is why we
temperature.
can't.
Those are two
That
separate,
is why
different subjects. What are you talking about?
that is why we can't use mathematical concepts to show how a infinite in the concrete reality is true. You
What does
can't
that
use
even
that.
mean, my guy? What does that even mean? You're
So
literally
what-
going on a ramble about
what-
Hold on,
what- what are you
Dread,
off
Dread.
on?
Well, everybody pause. Dread, you do understand that for us to actually understand the physical properties of our universe, we have to use math, correct?
Well, wait, say that again.
For us to understand the physical properties of our universe, we have to use physics, and physics uses math. You understand that,
temperature
right?
uses math.
Okay, I guess that's fine.
Okay, so if the math shows that time and space can go back infinitely,
It does not.
how do you? Okay, what math shows that it doesn't?
Yeah. So again, we can just use a
Logic.
Yes.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You're going back to something that
It's because
you're going
right,
back to
logic-
wait. You're going back to you're going back to an argument that you cannot. This is like saying, in order to disprove chemistry, I'm gonna use electronics. Can't really do that.
No,
What's the
so
other question?
again, that's disanalogous, right?
What was the other
Because
question?
again, hold on, let me reply to this, right? That's disanalogous, right? Because as we've already said, right, mathematics uses a type of logic. That is how we come to these mathematical equations. It's the same thing with logic.
Right. Okay. So what I'm saying is what you have to use math in order to counter the math. If you're just gonna say that I have a deductive, wait, if you're just gonna say I have a deductive argument that disproves 2 + 2 = 4, what is the argument?
There is no argument for that. Because
okay, exactly. So what I'm saying is that it logically follows. Exactly. So I'm saying with the mathematics, they show that it logically follows that we can have an infinite regress.
No,
yes, it does.
No, it does not.
Okay.
Because
we
I
out
can
of
disprove this by
time,
using the law of non-contradiction.
You won't even.
But you're not using math.
Get that far.
Okay, we out of time, bro. Dread, we out of time, bro. We out of time,
Dread.
Yeah, we had about 25 minutes, but I do appreciate you being here, man.
Thanks for letting that up.